Motion Detected. Written by Paul Powers. Read by Drew Grimm. Staley Bridge simmered beneath a stickly August dusk. The pavement sweated lager and bin juice. Somewhere, someone was playing Arctic Monkeys through a half-blown speaker, and the bass line throbbed up the spine of the red brick terrace like a hangover not yet earned. Inside her two-up, two-down, Sarah was cocooned on a well-worn gray sofa, curled under a fleece blanket that smelt faintly of fabric softener and last week's takeout. Her living room was a modest shrine to ordinary comfort. Magnolia walls, aged to the tone of weak tea, a few framed prints from IKEA that tried to look abstract, but mostly just blended into the background. The skirting boards had been painted white once, but now bore the scuffs of vacuum bruises and a small chip from where she dropped a wine bottle last December. The floor was wooden laminate, uneven in parts, curling slightly near the radiator, where the pipes hissed like quiet snakes. A wax melt burner on the windowsill exhaled artificial lavender, trying to mask the scent of dusty curtains and secondhand furniture. The television glowed in the corner, volume low. Some streaming drama about serial killers and trauma survivors. She wasn't really watching. The plot had started to blur 2 glasses of wine ago. The wine was cheap, almost syrupy, and she drank it slowly, more out of habit than need. The bottle sat open on the coffee table next to her ashtray. An iPhone charger cable coiled like a dead snake across the edge. Her phone buzzed once, sharp against the glass of the table. Ring. Motion detected at your door. She glanced at it without picking it up. The familiar, grainy gray image showed an empty front porch. The wheelie bin, her plastic doormat, with the faded, "Wipe your feet" text. Nothing was there. Probably just a cat, or a gust of wind. She unmuted the TV and let the voices wash over her. A character was screaming. The wine was catching up to her now, slowing her limbs. She reached for her vape, took a drag, and tucked herself deeper into the corner of the sofa. Her dressing gown was bunched up behind her back, half damp from the heat of her body and the wine. The phone buzzed again. Ring. Motion detected at your door. She didn't even look this time. She picked up the remote and flicked the volume higher. Her phone buzzed again. And again. Ring. Motion detected at your door. Each notification brought the same jittery vibration, the same hollow click of the camera turning on. Her irritation started to gnaw at the edge of her wine-soaked comfort. She snatched up the phone and opened the app. The camera feed stuttered to life. Empty. Again. The bin, the mat, the sodium yellow glow of the street lamp bending around her front gate. She squinted. Was there something in the top corner? A shifting blur? It might have been a spider, a shadow, or a glitch. She shut the app, muted the notifications, and locked the phone. She tossed it aside onto the cushion and exhaled sharply. Broken piece of shit. The TV played on. She poured the last of the wine into her glass and sank further into the cushions. Her eyes fluttered open and closed with the slow rhythm of too much nothing. Eventually, she wandered upstairs, brushed her teeth without turning on the main light, relying on the soft glow of her phone. The hallway smelled of candle wax and cold air. She climbed into bed, still in her dressing gown, kicked the duvet off, then dragged it back up. Somewhere far away, a dog barked. Her room was dim and claustrophobic, the kind of darkness that didn't feel quite empty. She fell asleep without noticing. The next morning, she woke to the sound of fists pounding wood. It wasn't the rhythmic knock of parcels or neighbors. It was loud, urgent, followed by voices too close to the house to be a dream. Sarah blinked against the morning light seeping through her curtains. Her head ached with the heavy, sour kind of hangover you got from cheap red wine and no water. She fumbled to grab her phone. Dead. Ugh, of course. The knocking came again. She pulled on the first hoodie she found and padded downstairs in bare feet. The laminate floor felt cold now. The warmth of last night had bled from the air. She unlocked the door. 2 uniformed cops stood on the porch. The younger one looked tired. The older one looked angry. "Are you Sarah Whitaker?" the officer asked. Sarah nodded, throat too dry to speak. There's been an incident, a serious one, a murder, just here." The officer gestured to the pavement directly in front of Sarah's gate. "Did you see or hear anything last night, around midnight?" Sarah stared at the spot. There was police tape flapping lazily, caught between her front fence and a lamppost. Beyond it, a wet, dark stain on the pavement. Something pinkish left behind. She hadn't even opened the curtains this morning. "No," she said. "I didn't hear anything. I had my phone on silent. And I think my Ring camera's busted. It kept going off last night, but there was nothing on it." The older officer's face shifted slightly. "Nothing?" "Just a blank porch. I thought it was the wind, or cats. I muted it." The 2 officers exchanged a look. "All right. We'll need to take a formal statement later. Please don't touch anything outside the property. We'll be collecting footage from surrounding houses." Sarah nodded again. The cold morning air was starting to bleed through the doorway. The police moved on. She closed the door slowly. The latch clicked louder than usual. The house felt too still. She didn't turn on the TV, didn't check the news. She went straight to the kitchen, flicked on the kettle, and stared at the scuffed tiles above the sink while it boiled. The air smelled faintly of yesterday's toast, and something else. Something metallic. She made her coffee weak, white, and overly sweet. Comfort drink. Back in the living room, she curled into her usual spot on the sofa, still in her hoodie, legs tucked under a blanket. Her phone was charging now. Notifications were piling in. She opened up Facebook. Nothing new. TikTok. A man explaining how to open a wine bottle with a shoe. Another one chopping soap. Tinder had one new match. Some guy with mirrored sunglasses and a gym selfie without a shirt. She didn't message him back. Snapchat. Sarah knew the game well, knew the rules. She angled the camera just so. a familiar ritual of light and shadow. The hoodie, oversized and soft, fell open just enough. The neckline, a lazy invitation. She tilted her chin, the barest hint of pout on her lips, her eyes a challenge. She wasn't just taking a picture. She was curating a reaction. The image wasn't just a selfie. It was a promise. A little flash of skin, a flicker of suggestion, and the world would watch. She posted it. Fire emojis and thirsty DMs arrived within seconds. She let them pile up. A quiet testament to her power. She smiled, a small private thing. And then she saw it. 5 ring notifications, all from after midnight. She hesitated. Her thumb hovered. She opened the app. The first video loaded slowly, buffering, like it had to think about it. The camera flicked on. For a moment, nothing. Then a shadow moved along the edge of the porch, barely visible in the warm spill of the street lamp. A stuttering form, too tall, too thin. The way it moved made her stomach knot. It didn't walk. It folded forward. One limb cracked backward as it stepped closer to the camera. Its head tilted at a broken angle, neck bending until the left ear almost touched its shoulder. There were holes where the eye should have been. No sockets. Holes, raw and oozing. No nose. No lips. Just a slit that widened slowly, revealing rows of what looked like fingers made of bone, twitching. It leaned into the lens. Sarah dropped her coffee. It hit the floor and soaked into the gray rug like blood. She played the next video. A girl appeared. She was stumbling along the pavement, swaying from side to side, dressed in a pale skirt and heels, clutching her phone. She looked too young. Sarah could hear the sound now. Hear laughing, or crying, or both. Then the creature was on her. The feed glitched as the girl was yanked backward off her feet with terrifying force. The sound went wrong, like chewing, screaming, wood splintering. She was still moving when her back was open like a curtain, still making noise as the creature rearranged her bones, still breathing as her face was peeled into a second smile. Sarah clamped a hand to her mouth, bile rising. She could see it, every detail. The creature wasn't killing her. It was crafting, hanging strips of her flesh on the gate, curling her intestines into spirals, arranging her insides out across the pavement like some kind of sick gallery. Then the last video. The creature turned again to the camera. It was closer now, much closer. So close she could hear its breath, wet and clicking, like insects whispering. It raised a hand. The hand was backwards, inside out, and it pressed one finger gently to the lens. Its entire body shifted into a grin. Sarah froze. She felt it before she could hear it. She was no longer alone in the room. The silence changed. The air bent slightly, like the shape of the room had shifted around something too big to see. Her breath hitched in her throat. Her hands clenched the edge of the sofa. Her eyes darted toward the kitchen, but her body refused to follow. A weight settled behind her, not the weight of a person, but of a presence, thick, ancient, sour. She could not turn away. The world had narrowed to the slick, unholy silhouette, now peeling itself from the corner of her room. It was not a creature so much as an unfolding. Its limbs, impossibly long and thin, stretched across the walls and ceiling. A spider's web of bone and sinew. Its torso, a wet sack of flesh and muscle, hung from the plaster, the skin slogging off in great, steaming sheets to expose a landscape of twitching sinew beneath. Its head was a mockery of life, hung upside down and tilted at an angle that should have been impossible. The neck was a pulpy mess of torn tissue and snapped bone. The thing grinned at her, a horrific, yawning slit of a mouth that split its face from ear to ear. Inside, rows of finger-like teeth writhed and clicked against each other, a dry, chittering sound that made Sarah's own teeth ache. It came forward, silent, slow, deliberate, each movement a violation of natural law. Sarah's mind screamed, but her body was still, a useless prison of flesh. Her mouth hung open, silent, trembling. The world was now only the soundless glide of that thing as it crawled toward her, a silent, predatory hunger. It stopped inches from her face. The smell of rot filled her nose, a sweet stench that made her stomach heave. It bent down, its head nearly touching hers. Then, from a gaping wet hole in its chest, a long black tongue slipped out, slick and glistening. It wound toward her face like a blind eel tasting the air, its tip probing, searching, a slow, deliberate violation. Sarah's heart thudded. Once, then again, each heartbeat thick and clumsy against her ribs. Her bladder gave way. She felt the warmth spread across her thighs, soaking into the cushion beneath her. Her last thought, a ridiculous, distant thing, was of the stain on the rug. Then it opened her throat, not with a slash, but with a slow, agonizing blossoming of flesh, a flower of red and white, each petal a severed vein, an exposed tendon, a whisper of bone. The phone buzzed once more. Motion detected at your front door. Police found Sarah's body the next day, following reports from concerned people on social media. The skin had been carefully peeled from her flesh, Ribs had been separated, and her lungs were pulled out and unfurled to resemble butterfly wings. Her head was almost severed entirely, and only her spine kept it attached. There were no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints. The only clue was her phone propped up against a coffee mug, camera open, streaming live to TikTok. 10,000 viewers and counting.